When it comes to my marriage, it's far from flawless. Everyone knows the truth. I've got my flaws. Officer has his own. Neither of us is untouchable. But one thing's undeniable. I've climbed higher than most could imagine. My success is loud. My life is rich, my kids are beautiful. And my empire? Untouchable. My marriage? Imperfect. But I have something else. A force, unwavering, standing 10 steps behind me in everything I do. No one saw the instant everything shifted. While the world argued over cheating whispers, courtroom threats, and who humiliated whom at the Super Bowl, the real fracture happened in silence. Far from cameras, far from flashing lights, a mother's words sliced deeper than any headline ever could. That's our baby. 3 words. Heavy enough to change everything. And then there's Cardi B. Fearless, unfiltered, relentless. She's endured public betrayals, relentless gossip, humiliations in front of millions. But this was different. This wasn't a viral scandal. This was personal. This was about her child. To understand how it all ignited, we have to rewind to October 2024. Cardi finally cut ties with Offset. This time, no takebacks, no quiet reconciliations. Those close to her knew the line was drawn. Her focus snapped elsewhere. Into the studio, into her music, into what would become Am I the Drama, turning heartbreak into beats, pain into rhythm, away from social media's prying eyes. She wasn't chasing love. She wasn't chasing attention. At least, that's what it looked like. Then came Stefon Diggs. Their spark didn't erupt with flashy posts or staged moments. It started as whispers, hidden glimpses, quiet glances, soft speculation online. Then Valentine's Day 2025 arrived, and suddenly the world glimpsed them together, at ease, confident, unapologetic. By the Met Gala, their subtle connection had solidified into undeniable truth. Real, tangible, visible to anyone daring to look. They didn't just survive chaos. They looked like they'd emerged from it stronger, closer, almost untouchable. Cardi, a Grammy-winning artist rebuilding after devastation. Stefon, a top NFL receiver, chasing a career free of the scandal that once trailed him from courts to playoff arenas. They were spotted courtside, laughing, moving together with a calm intimacy that screamed chemistry. Online, so-called body language experts dissected each glance, each smile, each shift in posture. Every glance, every fleeting smile, every subtle touch. They screamed something the world wanted to believe. Fans crowned them a power couple before the story had fully unfolded. It looked like a classic comeback love story. 2 people scarred by chaos, attempting to build something new, something untouchable. But behind the polished images, cracks were forming. The full truth was hidden from the world. By September 2025, Cardi B made a move that no one anticipated. Sitting across from Gil King on CBS Mornings, calm, luminous, and in complete command, she dropped the revelation. She was pregnant. The moment felt delicate, almost sacred. A whisper of hope, a hint at a new chapter of peace, family, and stability. Yet, that calm was short-lived. Less than a day later, reality fractured. A woman emerged with a public paternity claim against Stefon Diggs, instantly igniting the digital inferno. Celebration turned into obsession. Every timeline was scrutinized, old posts exhumed, screenshots spread like wildfire. Soon, more names surfaced, rumors multiplying, all tracing back to the same year. Social media did what it always does. It transformed private chaos into public spectacle. Overnight, whispers became headlines. 4 kids, 4 women, all supposedly entwined in a single timeline. And Cardi? She went live. Laughing, joking, performing like the storm outside couldn't touch her. To the world, it was defiance. To anyone paying attention, it was armor. When pain hits, she transforms it. Bigger smile, sharper quip, louder energy. Her control is performance. And maybe, just maybe, that performance dulls the sting. But beneath the laughter, a darker force was stirring, slow, relentless, invisible. A storm building quietly in the shadows, waiting for its cue. Then December arrived, and everything shifted. Legal filings, court dates, accusations that no tweet could erase, no headline could contain. These weren't ephemeral gossip stories. They lingered, and they cut deep. Through it all, Cardi remained mostly silent. No fiery rants, no cryptic posts, no digital explosions. Those close to her said she was calculating, measuring, preserving balance while parsing truth from chaos and safeguarding the child growing inside her. Then came the Super Bowl. Not just a game, but Stefon's stage, a spotlight for everything he had worked for. The Seattle Seahawks may have claimed the trophy, but no one remembered the score. The chatter wasn't about touchdowns, it was about Stefon, about whispers of another woman in his orbit that weekend. Another name, another scandal, another blow. And if the rumors were true, that was the fracture point. That was when Cardi stopped holding it together. She had drawn the line. He had crossed it. And she made it clear, no more chances. One more slip, one more public embarrassment, and it's over. No more damage control. No more defending him while the world turned her heartbreak into trending jokes and memes. When the Super Bowl ended, something else ended, too. Quietly, without announcement, without fanfare. Cardi B vanished. Calls went unanswered. Messages stayed read. The kind of silence that screams louder than words ever could. That should have been the final chapter. A breakup, heavy but definitive. But the story was far from over. The next twist was the one no one saw coming. The private heartbreak spiraled into a public maelstrom. And it wasn't Stefon Diggs trying to win her back in the spotlight. It was his mother who stepped into the fray. Back in September, when Cardi revealed her pregnancy, his mother had been all smiles, cheerful interviews, ecstatic declarations about the joy of the family. Love and support seemed everywhere. But after the split, that warmth vanished. Sources say she reached out to Cardi directly. Not casual check-ins. Serious conversations. Tense, weighted, loaded. Rumor has it she demanded access to the baby, and some say she even insisted the minor be brought to the Diggs household personally. Picture that scene. Cardi, still raw from heartbreak, trying to protect herself and her child, and suddenly the grandmother enters, not with comfort, but with authority. That energy alone can change the rules of the game. It shifted everything. Emotion became power. Love became leverage. This was no longer a story of romance. It became about boundaries, control, and the invisible fight over who defines family. That's when the storm truly broke. Families step in because they feel entitled, because their voice matters more than the person living the reality. But Cardi B has never ceded control. Every victory, every step forward, she built from scratch. No shortcuts, no favors. Criticism, headlines, public scrutiny, she endured it all and emerged stronger. So when someone tried to dictate what she could do with her own child, it wasn't just interference. It was a line crossed. And when those demands came, Cardi didn't just react. She flipped a switch. Those close to her say she pulled back completely. Any hope of calm co-parenting began to crumble, replaced by talk of boundaries, legal action, and structured control. Because when the word demand enters the picture, lawyers are never far behind. Even amidst that tension, Cardi B never went online to tear him down. That's what twists this story into something far more complicated. She held her silence when everyone expected an eruption. While the internet spun her heartbreak into jokes, memes, and trending chaos, she said nothing. No cryptic posts. No late-night rants. No public confrontations. She stayed calm. Protective, even. That quiet spoke louder than any digital tirade ever could. There were still feelings beneath it all. Not hatred. Not spite. Hurt. Betrayal. She didn't despise Stefon Diggs. She despised what had been done, what had unfolded. And that distinction changed everything. Love doesn't vanish overnight. You can feel betrayed, yet still care. You can walk away, yet still refuse to let someone you once loved become collateral damage. That was where Cardi stood, suspended in that gray, unstable space between heartbreak and loyalty, striving to shield her child from a world that thrives on drama, not truth. When whispers about her alleged clash with her mother leaked online, the internet split in two. Some said a grandmother had every right to a relationship with her grandchild. Others insisted that stepping into a breakup this raw, especially with demands, was crossing a line. The debate grew loud, furious, relentless. But beneath the clamor was a truth most ignored. The trust between Cardi and Stefon had already cracked long before this moment. And once trust shatters, every outside voice, no matter how well-meaning, becomes pressure. It weighs down an already fragile situation, turning what could have been healing into yet another battlefield. Co-parenting only works with real communication, defined boundaries, and mutual respect. Three things nearly impossible when the entire world watches your every low moment. To many, this story looked like embarrassment layered upon more embarrassment. The joy of the pregnancy reveal barely had a breath before paternity rumors and Super Bowl gossip overtook every feed. Then his mother reportedly stepped in. Not as support. Not as comfort. She turned up the pressure, amping the tension behind the scenes. That's likely when the lawyers quietly entered the picture. Custody negotiations, visitation rights, attempts to restore order to a situation that had already become a storm of emotions. Courts don't care about virality. They care about structure, about what's truly best for the child. But for Cardi, this wasn't about forms or signatures. This was about life, her child, her peace. Motherhood had sharpened her instincts, made her unflinching, unafraid to draw hard lines when necessary. The first time you hold your child, the world shifts. You protect that bond like survival itself depends on it. And when someone utters, "That's our baby," those words can strike like a blade. To a mother, they can mean something entirely different. Something sharp, something like a challenge, a silent declaration that she is not the only one staking claim. That's where the tension begins, not with shouts or public fights, but in subtle, almost imperceptible shifts in the room. The moments that make a private struggle feel like a battle for control. Not for fame, not for image, but for love and authority over what matters most. Meanwhile, Stefon Diggs was weathering his own storm. Legal battles, social media firestorms, and the relentless pressure of maintaining a fragile reputation. Finding balance in co-parenting under those conditions? Nearly impossible. Those close to the situation said that after the Super Bowl, communication didn't just wane. It collapsed entirely. Messages went unanswered, calls cut short. And before long, they existed in parallel worlds, both trying to raise one child. Too much pain. Too much pride. Too many voices. Once family intervenes in the middle of a breakup, calm almost always slips away. Now everything exists in a strange, tense limbo. Nothing has fully erupted, but nothing has healed. They are no longer a couple. Their baby arrived in November 2025, yet unresolved legal matters still linger like storm clouds refusing to dissipate. That rumored confrontation between Cardi B and Stefon's mother became the breaking point. The moment this private heartbreak escalated into what looks like the start of a bitter custody battle. The question is no longer whether they'll reconcile. That door appears closed for good after such a public unraveling. The real question is whether a stable co-parenting arrangement is possible without devolving into a courtroom spectacle for the world to dissect. Because once grandparents assert rights, once words like demand or access enter private discussions, the next chapter almost always involves lawyers, mediators, and endless paperwork. That's when gossip ceases to be entertainment. It becomes a legal war with real consequences. Cardi has endured heartbreak in the spotlight before, but this silence feels different. It isn't hiding. It's strategy. She understands how quickly the internet twists stories, how fleeting sympathy can be, and how easily a woman's pain becomes entertainment. This time, she moves smarter. She speaks less, observes more, and lets her calm dominate the chaos. Perhaps this quiet is not weakness, it is power. Motherhood has reshaped her not only emotionally but strategically. She knows that when a mother protects her child, the world notices and listens. In this moment, that measured strength might be Cardi B's sharpest move yet, a shield for her peace, her child, and her narrative, before anyone else can rewrite it. But nothing here is simple. Families fight fiercely for what they believe is theirs. A grandmother seeking time with her grandchild is not automatically villainous. The real conflict lies in how emotions are handled, with open dialogue or total confrontation. And one truth is undeniable: love can fracture overnight. But family ties? They cling, twist, and pull from every angle until someone bends. And right now, that struggle is unfolding, quietly, in real time. Everyone is pulling in different directions, and the world watches, riveted, as it all unfolds in real time. The media speculates endlessly. Headlines spin faster than the truth. Behind closed doors, lawyers move quietly, plotting the next steps in a drama no one can fully control. And in the eye of this storm sits a child, innocent, untouched by the chaos, yet dragged into the center by bloodlines, decisions, and egos that have nothing to do with them. That's what makes this story weigh heavy. This isn't just celebrity gossip anymore. It's about pride, control, and the fragile, invisible space that binds two families forever, even when they cannot see eye to eye. Maybe, in time, they will find a fragile middle ground. Or maybe the next act takes them to a courtroom, where a judge will decide what fair really means, while the world watches, dissecting every word. Perhaps years from now, they will look back and wonder how something so personal became public spectacle. For now, though, the air between them is thick with tension. Quiet, unresolved, loaded with unspoken truths. When a love story collapses, the pain is immediate. When trust shatters, it cuts even deeper. And when family steps in with a claim, "That's our baby," love no longer leads the narrative. It becomes a fight for power, respect, and control. The story isn't over, and the world is watching.